The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. It's time to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mian Mohsen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, then you'll love Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries with 2 strangers and 1 target where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia has garnered great reviews and is even loved by Hollywood celebrities including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Order Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, now available at Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-ring author Mian Mohsen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen to our 30 podcasts on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn, and heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for some great gift ideas, including T-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, throw pillows, tote bags, and more, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including pop sockets, hoodies, as well as tank tops and phone cases and more, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mian Mohsen Zia store and check out his great books like Missing, Once, and More. So go to Amazon.com, check out the Me and Molson Zia store, and don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM and also on PayPal as well, too. Just go to PayPal at the Mike Wagner Show. Also go to themikewagnershow.com and make sure you donate generously today and do so as well. We're here with a terrific gentleman who's from a band that has garnered, three number ones, the most noble, which is Still the One, Dance With Me, and has had 9 million airplays on terrestrial radio and hundreds of millions streaming. And of course, he's a co-founder of Orleans, which he also has his songs covered by Bonnieraitt, Linda Ronstadt, Janis Joplin, Chet Atkins, and more, and also co-founded Muse, which is Musicians Unite for Safe Energy, and also his activism has led to 2 terms in Congress. We'll talk more about that. He's got a brand new album out called Reclaiming My Time, featuring Alone Too Long. We'll talk about that. And live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Nashville, Tennessee, going from Woodstock, New York, over to Nashville. And yes, he's reclaimed my time. Ladies and gentlemen, the co-founder of Orleans, the very multi-talented John Hall. John, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us. And yes, you're still the one.
Thank you, Mike. That's quite a build-up. I'll try to live up to it.
I think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, I've got a long way to go to catch up with you guys. So you're the co-founder of Orleans. You had some great hits like Still the One, Dance With Me, Love Takes Time, and your songs have garnered over 9 million on terrestrial radio and hundreds of millions on streaming airplay. Your songs have been covered by Bonnieraitt, also Linda Ronstadt, Janis Joplin, and more. You're also a co-founder of Muse, which is the Musicians Unite for Safe Energy, and your activism also led you to serve 2 terms in Congress as a Democrat representative of New York from 07 to 10, and you also began your amazing career in a young age. You also have a new album called Reclaiming My Time, featuring Alone Too Long. And before we get into all that, John, tell us how it first got started.
Well, we started writing it for a friend of mine who had lost his wife to cancer. And after 6 months or 8 months, I forget what it was, he asked another friend when it was okay to start dating. And the guy said, don't stay alone too long. You might start to like it. And he told me that. And I said, boy, that sounds like a song. He was, at the time, he was unable to really work on it because he was still, it was too close to home for him. He was still grieving too much. But our friend, Tad Richards from up in the Woodstock area in New York, who's a fabulous lyricist, helped write the second and third verse to it. And we put this together. It started out being a song about that kind of grief before the pandemic hit. And then we finished it after the pandemic, and it became a song about the isolation and loneliness that we've all felt during the time that we had to stay away from other people and not be able to hug our own kids or grandkids or friends and loved ones.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, too, that you also had that album as well, too, Reclaiming My Time as well, too. That's featuring the net. And, tell us a bit about that, Reclaiming My Time. And you've got an interesting story about that.
Yeah. Well, I served before I was in Congress in the House of Representatives representing the 19th District of New York. I ran, years ago before that for our county legislature, and I served 2 years. This one term there. I didn't have designs on a career in politics. I served one term and went back to music and to my family. And then a little later, I ran for and twice won a seat on the school board in Saugerties, New York, just to the east of Woodstock. And once again, it wasn't my design to be the school board boss. I just wanted to help fix some things. And my daughter was in the high school at the time, and so. And then I went back to music and to my family and performing solo and with Orleans. Mm-hmm. And then when I decided to run for Congress, I had to tell the guys in the band, I'm really sorry. I know we just put a record out and all that, but I'm driven to do this. I felt, that it was very important. And we can go into the reasons some other time. But anyway, so I wound up winning, to a lot of people's surprise. And I served between when I was elected in 2006, reelected in 2008. So leaving in the beginning of 2011 and being replaced by my successor. But I found during that time, you've all heard this. I'm sure everybody's heard this at some point on C-SPAN or wherever, that if one is talking on the floor of the House and somebody from across the aisle or the same side of the aisle says, may I comment on that? I would say, I recognize the gentleman from Iowa for 2 minutes or whatever it is. And then when they finish, or when I want them to be finished, I can say, reclaiming my time, Madam Speaker, I would like to finish by saying this. And usually you have to reclaim your time, because I've yet to meet a member of the House of Representatives who doesn't talk infinitely if you don't cut them off. So I'm probably one of those people too.
That's rather interesting, because, I've heard some stories about that, but reclaiming my time, when you say I like to reclaim my time and let them speak and everything, that seems rather interesting. And I also thought back that you also were on the school board and your daughter went to school, and you said you had to fix some problems. So what kind of problems that you had to fix while you're on the school board? Maybe just give us a bit.
Our problem in that school district was that the budget had been defeated for 3 years in a row, and there was this constant tension between the property owners and property taxpayers, and people, either parents or teachers, school board members. There are a lot of stakeholders in that, of course, and so there are always needs to try to educate our children better, but everything costs money, and the only money besides property tax in New York, this is how it's funded anyway. The only source is federal funding or state funding, and that's never adequate to cover the district. So it's been traditional, I think, in most states for there to be a school tax as part of the property tax. Well, you can't really have small enough class size, as in you can't really have new computers or new uniforms for the sports teams. You can't have enough snow plowing in the district so people can get to school, or the school bus can safely get children back and forth, all that kind of thing. You can't do that without enough money. And so we had to come up with a budget that the voters would approve. And I'm happy to say that my first year in the school board, and a couple of years later, I was elected president of the school board by my fellow trustees. But the first budget we did when I was there, we lowered taxes by a couple percent and still had the money to do those smaller classes, to do all the snow plowing and all the new uniforms and new computers and advanced placement German classes or whatever. I mean,
wow.
And because the vote on the budget always takes place in May. And then if a blind child moves into the district in August, right before the opening of the school year, we're still required by law to send that kid on a little bus to a school for the blind. We have mandates that come down, federal mandates and state mandates that we have to do, and that means we have to find a way to pay for them. So there are ways, and without giving away my trade secrets, I'll say that we had a good superintendent, and she knew where to find money in the budget. So we were able to do all that, and I feel like I succeeded at what. That wasn't the only thing I was looking to do, but that was the main thing, was make sure that be it special needs, kids or advanced placement kids, that everybody their programs would be there and be funded. So anyway, that's it's not magic. It's a lot of hard work. And the interesting thing about the school board is you don't run as a Democrat or a Republican or a member of any party. You run as an individual. Mm-hmm. And you go door to door and knock on doors and, do interviews or whatever you have to do and convince people to vote for you. And so it's very different when there are votes taking place on the school board in New York, at any rate. It's never the same alliances on every vote. Maybe on the new computers, you'll have 4 people out of the 9 will be with you, and you'll be a working majority. And maybe when it comes down to whether you have advanced coding computer class, you might have a different, you might have 6 people one way, it's 3 people saying, no, I don't want to spend that money. So it's always finding alliances. And I found that to be very helpful in Congress, that, there are usually ways of finding common ground and getting to a working majority.
It's interesting you mentioned common ground because I had a couple of people on who talked about common ground with all the fighting going on between Democrats, Republicans. You get the independents in the mix, and of course, fighting common ground, it can be as simple as like what's your favorite color, where you live, and everything else. And also, what inspired you to run for Congress?
Well, you just touched on something really good there, and I would say regarding common ground, I was surprised. And I think my constituents were surprised that although I ran as an environmental candidate and an anti-war candidate, I wound up being appointed by the Speaker to chair a subcommittee on veterans' disabilities. And probably the most important thing I did legislatively was to help. I was the main sponsor and author of a bill called the Veterans Claims Modernization Act of 2008. And it passed unanimously. Every Democrat and every Republican in the House of Representatives and the Senate voted yes. And President George W. Bush signed it into law and called it good government. And I just think that's an example that, if there's something that we can agree on, you start from there and you work out. And if I didn't do anything else, I did that. And I'm proud of the fact that it was a truly bipartisan measure. So, what inspired me really was that the representative, I moved into a different town in New York and a different district. And my representative at the time had voted for the war in Iraq and voted for oil drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Preserve, both of which I thought were bad ideas. And I thought, well, she should get a challenge. And because, maybe she'll still win and still be there, but at least they'll have to spend money in that district, and somebody else will win somewhere else who thinks the way I do it. And so that's how it started out. I just discovered that my ability to speak from being on stage all my life, all my adult life, I've been performing. And there are a lot of parallels. People talk about selling a song, selling an idea, getting up on stage and going, listen to this, listen to this guitar solo, and selling a solo, selling a concept. It's the same thing. And also in politics, you are the product. And in music, really, you are the product too. I mean, the record's the product, the songs are the product, but it's also, it's still the self-promotion gene, which is necessary for both. So I snuck up on people who thought I was just a tree-hugging guitar player, and I actually could complete a sentence.
Oh my gosh, that is a really good point. I think it was just you just hit the nail on the head. Common ground, and being up on stage with Orleans and going into Congress. Now, if you would have ran Congress during the Obama and Trump administration, do you think you would have succeeded? And if you were going to Congress, like say in the Biden administration, do you think you would have succeeded, or you think things could have been different, maybe better, same, or the worse?
Yeah, well, but it's hard to say. You can't change one thing without changing everything. And I was in the right place at the right time. And I served for the last 2 years of George W. Bush's second term and the first 2 years of President Obama's second term. And that's the only experience with serving with those two presidents. That's the only two presidents I've worked with. So, and not to say that I worked that closely with them, but we did accomplish some things that they had to sign off on. So I don't think it matters. I think, Joe Biden was, when I met him, I think twice. And, when I was there, he was considered a moderate by everybody. He was not a flaming liberal or radical anything. And so I think he should be a pretty easy guy, probably is a pretty easy guy to work with. But easy for me to say when I'm not there. So I'm back in the regular citizen side of things where I vote and I can talk about what's important to me, but I don't pretend to have those connections anymore. You think there's a lot of strength that comes with, and power that comes with just even being elected in one district. I represented 650,000 people, more than the entire state of Alaska or Vermont. And I had 22 staff at the peak of including a couple interns. And you can get an awful lot done with people who are working, pulling the oars in the same direction that you're pulling them. And most of the work we did, I think, that really impacted people was in our district, constituent service, as they call it, where somebody calls the office saying, "I need help with my green card. I need help with my Social Security." That kind of, all kinds of problems. People come. We would have public events, Congress on your corner, I used to call them, just as Gabby Giffords was having when she was shot. It was standing in front of a supermarket. Well, I used to go out in front of supermarkets and post offices and town halls and at a pre-advertised time, and people could come and talk to me and just line up, and I'd stay there as long as there was somebody left who needed to talk to me. And I would hand them off to their, if it was something about veterans benefits, I had a staffer who worked only on that. And I would say, thank you so much, and get their name and so on, and then say, "This is Lisa from my office who will take over from here. So let me know how it goes," and then she would talk to them, and I would talk to the next person. So it's a team. It's always a team. There's anybody who thinks that they're going to do something all by themselves is probably wrong.
Mm-hmm. And if you were asked to run for Congress or any kind of board or any kind of seat or government position, would you do it again? Why or why not?
No, for two reasons. One is my, anybody's personal life and family life suffer when they go into that kind of, or even higher, right? Senate, or God forbid, president or vice president. Those, forget having a life apart from that. I mean, I guess you can preserve some of it. But the other thing is I'm reclaiming my time in terms of reclaiming my musical work, songwriting, guitar playing, recording, performing. And I don't really want to give that back. So it's somebody else's turn. I really believe that should be citizen government, and people should come out of private life, serve, go back to private life. And not to say that there shouldn't be some people who are important enough or skilled enough or wise enough to stay around longer than I did. But to me, it's back to private life, and somebody else can do it.
That's a very good point. I think I'm inspired to do what you're doing as well, too, and talk about reclaiming my time and being up on the stage of Orleans. We'll talk more about that. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention The Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give a official shout out to our official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you'll love Missing by Mia Molson Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forrest Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Molson Zia, available on Amazon. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn, and heard worldwide on Geo7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. And for great gift ideas, including t-shirts, pop sockets, hoodies, throwbags, tote pillows, and more, go to Amazon.com and check out The Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including hoodies, phone cases, and pop sockets, and a lot more, go to Amazon.com and check out the Mia Molson Zia bookstore, including Missing, Once, and make sure you check out the Mia Molson Zia store for some great merchandise. And don't forget to support The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com. Also, make sure you give generously to Anchor FM/support and PayPal at The Mike Wagner Show. Make sure you do so today. We're here with the co-founder of Orleans and also served on the school board and on Congress here on The Mike Wagner Show. John Hall is with us talking about reclaiming my time. And we all talked about Alone Too Long as a single, which is released as well too. And before we continue talking about your current music, you've been with Orleans for quite some time. You guys got together in Woodstock. And first of all, tell us how you got started with Orleans and music wise, how you got started.
Well, it's a long story. I started playing piano when I was 4 and a half. but I won't tell you the whole rest of that part of it. I guess it was 1971. I went to Europe playing guitar in a band with Karen Dalton, the singer, a wonderful kind of jazzy folk blues singer who was signed to Michael Lang's label, that being Michael Lang of the Woodstock Festival, who helped put that whole festival together and the movie and record and everything. And we were opening to Santana on a tour all around Europe. Mm-hmm. And on, I think, the 13th or 14th show of the tour in Montreux, Switzerland, she refused to perform because she had been denied a sound check.
Really?
Every show up until then, including then. And it was in her contract. But, people who've been on the road long enough know that the opening act doesn't always get a sound check. You have to be ready to play regardless of the circumstances. And so she left. She walked out and just took off on the street and wasn't coming back. And the promoter asked if somebody could do a show. He looked in our dressing room. Can anybody play and do a set? We have 5,000 Santana fans here, and there's going to be trouble if there's no music. And I said, I'll do it. And I went upstairs with a couple of the other guys in the band backing me and did half a dozen songs, Jimmy Reed songs, Ray Charles songs, just R&B and blues stuff, basically. And got back down in the dressing room, and the promoter comes down and says, you have to do an encore. And I said, what? And he said, come on, let's. And I went upstairs, and the fans had their lighters out and were stamping and, carrying on for an encore. And so I went out and did another song. I think it was Don't Bogart That Joint, the Lowell George song that the Fraternity Man and Little Feat both did. And of course, they knew that from Easy Rider. So they went crazier even after that. But on the way home, Karen got bumped off the tour. So we were all off the tour. And after that night, on the plane going home, I was thinking I should start a band. Johanna and I had already written Half Moon, which Janis Joplin had recorded. And we'd written a bunch of other songs that were getting cut by the Times and Millie Jackson and various folks. And I thought, I should really start a band where we do our own original material. And came back and started sort of shuffling, playing every night in a club in Woodstock, or every week in a club in Woodstock, and different bass players and drummers. And in December of 1971, Wells Kelly joined. I worked with him before. He was from Ithaca, New York, upstate. And then a couple other guys quit. So it was me and Wells in my basement, and looking at each other. And Wells said, why don't we call this guy I know from Ithaca, Larry Hoppin? He can play anything, he can sing anything. So we got Larry down, and that trio performed our first show as Orleans in January of 1972. So we're actually working now on a Christmas record. We'll be out in the fall, but more importantly, we're working on our 50th anniversary record, which will come out this coming January, which is 2022. It's exactly 50 years from our first show as Orleans.
Wow, that is something. How'd you come up with the name Orleans?
We were playing a lot of New Orleans influenced music, Alan Toussaint, meters, covers. Before we had enough of our own songs to fill out a set, we were covering a lot of that and reggae and R&B stuff, and so it made sense from that point of view. And also, lots of bands go through trying different names on. And we had a good gig that weekend that we tried using Orleans at some college upstate. And the promoter said, I want you back, but you have to use the same name because otherwise people won't know who it is. So we just kind of got stuck with it, but it turned into something people recognize.
Mm-hmm. And very recognizable as well, too. I mean, your big hits is obviously Still the One, Dance With Me, and Love Takes Time, and 9 million airplays on terrestrial radio, hundreds of millions on streams, almost 50 years later. It's like, who knew that were to happen? And, tell us about those three songs and what inspired you to write them.
Well, before I talk about the songs, I would say that the changes in the music business have been kind of summed up in what you just said, in that 9 million streams or 9 million airplays, spins as they call it, on terrestrial radio is a lot, but it's totally dwarfed. I mean, we're talking 9 million over the time from '75 when Dance With Me came out, and '76 when Still the One came out, to now. But streaming audio has not really been a factor until 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, it started to really take off. And we have, at this point, every couple of weeks, we get another million streams. It's just unbelievable how many more times. I mean, there's musicians and songwriters and record companies will complain, I think rightfully so, that streaming doesn't pay the artists and the writers. I mean, we might get 1,000th of what a terrestrial radio station will pay per spin, but there's so many more of them. It's still substantial. Dance With Me, I was playing acoustic guitar in the living room, and Johanna, my first wife and co-writer, was in the kitchen making coffee, and I played that da 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 on the guitar, and she called from the kitchen, "That sounds like Dance With Me." I said, "Can we come up with something more original?" And she said, "No, it really sounds like it." So anyway, it wound up being Dance With Me, and of course she was right. That song went on to be recorded not just by us, but by Chet Atkins and by Steve Wariner and Earl Klugh and Bobby McFerrin and all kinds of amazing. Earl Klugh, the jazz guitar player, it's been recorded in about every format that there is, and every style of music there is. Still the One started out with a downstairs neighbor of Johanna's and mine asking her to write a song about people staying together because our neighbor was being in the middle of a divorce from her husband. And she said, there are too many songs about people breaking up. Can you write a song about people staying together? So Johanna wrote the entire lyric on the back of an envelope and handed it to me and said, can you do anything with this? And I wrote the music in about 15 minutes. Wow. It was like a miracle just dropped in our laps. And it doesn't always happen that magically, but it's all magic, whether it takes a month or two or whether it takes 5 minutes. It's still, it's always a different, the writing experience is always, sometimes you start with the music first, sometimes with the lyrics first. Sometimes it's a collaboration. Sometimes it's you by yourself. I try to remember to keep a notepad in my car. So if I'm driving down the road and I hear something in my head, I can scribble it. I'll set a stoplight or something. I'll scribble down a couple words. It's very individual. Everybody writes in a different way, but it's all valid.
That's really interesting. And in fact, the most important lesson is always listen to your wife and always have some coffee with it. I mean, that's the two most important things. And yes, you got to write things down. And I have to admit, I'm guilty of not writing things down because I get accused by my wife. It's like, you should have wrote this down. Now, everywhere we go, it's like we keep a pad of paper in our vehicle. Of course, I keep a pad of paper here, pad of paper at my desk, or just type on your phone or text somebody. It's just like, it's amazing what a couple of words can all of a sudden do.
This is true. Sometimes I hear a conversation. I overhear a conversation at the next table in a restaurant, and I can hear something and go, wow, interesting idea for a song. And the other people have no idea that we're even, I don't try to eavesdrop on people, but sometimes you can't help hearing things. And it's just, you never know. A song, can come from, there's an Orleans track that Johanna and Jonelle Mosser and I wrote called One Tribe. We are all one tribe, and it's about that kind of common ground and unity versus tribalism. Mm-hmm. And the idea for the song really came out of a New York Times article. It's just, you don't know, there was an article actually about how in Africa, the Hutu and the Tutsi were killing each other in this sort of genocidal war they had going on. And the way that they could tell themselves apart from each other was the shape of their nose. Really? And there's actually a line that says that in the song, but it also talks about the Catholics and the Protestants in Ireland and Northern Ireland. Oh, they've been crazy. Talks about the Dems and the pubs, the Democrats and Republicans. I mean, it's really the idea that tribalism trumps humanity is a problem. I think we need to try to, recover more of that common humanity that we have.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. It said about being united versus tribalism, and of course, you see it go on with Israel versus Palestinians. That's a big thing right now. And I was just also thinking about the thing you said with being together. And of course, you also had some other albums out besides the 3 songs. You also have your debut, Orleans 2, Let There Be Music, and a lot more. I mean, you just have a huge list. Maybe just to give a quick rundown about some of the albums, too.
Well, the first album, which was just entitled Orleans, has what our fans call the burlap cover on it. And that was recorded in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, with Barry Beckett and Roger Hawkins producing us. And I'm sorry to say, Roger Hawkins, who was the great drummer from that rhythm section, passed away only yesterday.
Oh, and, really? That was recent? Oh, my gosh. I'm so sorry.
A couple of days ago. Yeah, I just heard about it. And,
oh, wow.
Well, Barry died some years ago. I think Jimmy Johnson's still here, the guitar player. But they were fabulous, legendary rhythm section, kind of like the Memphis, the Booker T and the MGs, who were the house band at Stax Studios in Memphis. Roger Hawkins and those guys played on "I'll Take You There" by the Staple Singers, on 6, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, or Mustang Sally by Wilson Pickett. They played
that's my favorite.
A bunch, Retha's Respect, I think, is them. I mean, just if you look them up, Roger Hawkins, look him up in the Wikipedia or something, you'll find an incredible discography of records he played on. And these are the people that the average listener doesn't necessarily know about. They certainly know who Aretha is, or who Paul Simon. They played on Kodachrome by Paul Simon. Just unbelievable number of hits. But they're the ones that make it possible by laying down those incredible grooves. The second album we produced ourselves in Woodstock at Bearsville Studios, and that record, our label ABC said didn't have any hits on it, and they refused to release it except in Holland and Denmark.
Oh my gosh.
But it did have Dance With Me and Let There Be Music on it. So when we later hooked up with Chuck Plotkin, who was head of A&R for David Geffen's Asylum Records, he not only signed us to that label, but he bought the re-recording rights back to Dance With Me and to Let There Be Music from ABC Records. So we recut those for our third album, which is entitled Let There Be Music. And that album, Let There Be Music, the title song got to 35 or something like that on the charts. And then Dance With Me went top 10. And we did a tour with Melissa Manchester. Among others, we played a lot of shows with different people. And then when we cut our next album, Waking and Dreaming, we wound up, which had Still the One on it, among other songs. We wound up using Chuck was the producer, so he kind of would tell us, I don't think that's it. You need to cut that song again. And we wound up tracking Still the One 3 times with him for the third album. And for the fourth album, we tracked or Dance With Me for the third album. And again, Still the One, we cut 3 times. Jerry Murata had joined our band on drums, and he played drums on the last and final version of that, which everybody has heard. And then we went on tour with Jackson Browne on his Running on Empty tour. It was huge. And Still the One was out on the radio at the time. So that was kind of exciting tour. And at that point, we were label mates with the Eagles and Jackson and all these other wonderful artists. So, that's before the consolidation and, acquisitions like Warner Brothers buying. Warner's bought Asylum and Elektra and Atlantic. And that was called
together, pretty much. Yes.
Warner, Elektra, Atlantic. And then they were bought by AOL, and then they were bought by Time magazine. It became AOL Time Warner. And then it's just that kind of corporate consolidation and spin-off keeps happening. So we're lucky to find out like who we should talk to about our royalties now, but nothing to complain about. It's just it's always been a strange business, and it hasn't stopped being strange.
And of course, you also kept up as well too, just for the fans, like with Dancing in the Moonlight. You got back together, and you also did some records, even while the time you were running for Congress, or you're in Congress, I should say.
Well, the band continued working while I was in Congress, and then in 2012, Larry Hoppin passed away. My partner, one of the original 3 founders of Orleans, passed away, and I came back in the band at that time, and I've been playing with Orleans ever since. Yeah, we just have a sound that the Hoppin brothers, Larry and Lance, and their youngest brother, Lane, who's playing keyboard and singing with us now, and trumpet and melodica, just like his brother Larry did. They all sound similar, and they have a very recognizable blend of their voices. And I've been singing with them, with one or the other Hoppin brothers, since 1972. So I can blend with them and they with me. And it's we open our mouths and we hear this back from people that, they've always enjoyed the playing, and our playing has always, I think, been good. But when we open our mouths, that sound comes out, that harmony sound, and that's kind of what we're known for.
Mm-hmm. And of course, that I'm not sure we covered enough. You're also the founder of Muse as well, too. Musicians Unite for Safe Energy. I wasn't sure if we talked any about it, and if we did, maybe just a bit more about that as well.
Sure. Well, this goes back to the 70s again. Late 70s, I was got involved with a lot of local activism things, and one of them was when my next door neighbor, who was a Vietnam vet, came over and brought a bunch of literature, a stack of papers to my house, and said, "Do you know about this nuclear power plant they're planning to build 6 miles from here?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, read this." And I did, because I always took anything he said seriously, and wound up going to these hearings of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and the New York State Power Authority, and found out they'd already spent $150 million, I think it was, of taxpayer and ratepayer money before they had any permits granted to build this thing. And they were just proceeding as if, nothing's going to stop us. And I got back home after, listening to both sides of the argument that night. And Johanna was asleep and our daughter was asleep, but I couldn't sleep. And in the middle of the night, I snuck out of bed downstairs and had a little cassette recorder and sang into it, "Just give me the warm power of the sun. Give me the steady flow of the waterfall. Give me the restless power of the wind," et cetera. It was all about renewable energy.
Amazing.
And in 1979. And I made an album called Power in 1979. And then that spring, Jackson Browne and bonnieraitt and I, and Graham Nash, 4 of us formed Musicians United for Safe Energy, and started planning a concert at Madison Square Garden with all the friends we could round up to play with us. And in the spring of that year, Three Mile Island partially melted down, and there was a lot more awareness about the risks of not just the plant operating or not functioning, but also about the waste, the transportation and storage of the waste, and so on. And we wound up with 5 nights at the Garden, sold out, with the Doobie Brothers and Tom Petty and Chaka Khan, and Paul Simon sat in for a song. Just tons of people. Gil Scott-Heron was there, and bonnieraitt, of course, with her band, and James Taylor and Carly Simon, who were a couple at that time, but also making great records together. And it was recorded and it was filmed and became a Warner Brothers film and triple CD, and was enabled us to raise about $1 million, I think, clear to give away in grants to local and regional groups that were doing education about energy issues and about all the different alternatives there were, and still are today. I'm happy we're finally starting to get to realize more as a total, society, that we can't go on, whether it's radioactivity or whether it's carbon emissions, we can't go on pumping these poisons into our atmosphere and our water and our soil, and it all winds up in our food, and we wind up breathing it and drinking it. Mm-hmm. Not to mention it causes the planet to warm, the climate to change, and is already made and is going to make a lot more species extinct if we don't do something quick about it.
Mm-hmm. And that's very amazing too, that you make music and get involved with energy and all that. You also have another project too, which is called the Johnhallband, and a couple of albums as well too. And just tell us about that.
In the early 80s, I got together with Bob Leinbach, wonderful keyboard player and singer, had been in Orleans, and before that in a band with Larry Hoppin called Bafalongo. And and Wells, Wells and Bob were friends and played together and so on. But Bob and I joined up with Eric Parker, drummer who's played with Mick Ronson and Joe Cocker and Natalie Cole and all kinds of wonderful people. I think he played with Bob Dylan for a while. And John Troy, bass player from the Poussette Dart Band, who's also worked with Natalie and a bunch of other luminaries. And the four of us made a record as the John Hall Band. We made 2 records. And the first one had a song called Crazy, Keep On Falling, which was made into a video, and it was in heavy airplay for 5 or 6 months on MTV.
Wow.
At the beginning of MTV, when there weren't that many videos out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had one that they were playing, it got heavy rotation. And it was pretty good. It was people were just really learning what they could do with music videos at the time. And we had a small audience in, I think it was the Roxy in Los Angeles, club in Los Angeles and in Hollywood. And just played that song. And the audience responded like the extras they were. If you put out a casting call in Hollywood, anybody who wants to be in a music video, come on down at this hour, and then people show up, and it was packed. A lot of people looking, just like in Nashville, people all want to write songs. In Hollywood, they all want to be in some kind of movie.
That is something. It's just amazing musical career you had. And where can we find all your music at, including your current one, Reclaiming My Time?
Well, Reclaiming My Time is on Amazon, as are most of the records. And you can also go to my website, johnhallmusic.com. And, I'm on Facebook, John Hall Music again, and various social media. But it's, and Orleans, if you want to find out more about Orleans that you don't know otherwise, orleansonline.com. So we're out working. Orleans is performing for the first time in a year and a half, starting in June. We'll be flying out and doing a couple of shows on the weekends. And so that's going to be fun. I hope we remember how to do an hour-long set or an hour and a half. My fingers, the calluses are kind of soft, so I've been practicing to get them ready. But it's going to be fun to be playing for real people that we can see and hear, and they can see and hear us. That's really a touchstone for most musicians. And it's one thing to work in the studio and sit around the table writing, but getting in front of people and playing is really the kind of the high point.
Mm-hmm. And we're certainly looking forward to that as well, too. And what's coming up for John Hall of Orleans and more, we'll find out just 1 minute. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by SonicWeb Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Zia of Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with the co-founder of Orleans, John Hall, after this timeout.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by SonicWeb Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention The Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamotionsea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple, and more. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn, where The Mike Wagner Show interviews great guests, cool conversation, lots of laughs, coffee, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. And if there's one thing you can count on in these unpredictable times, it's that you're in good hands getting some great radio, courtesy of The Mike Wagner Show.
We're back with co-founder, singer, songwriter, multi-talented of Orleans, John Hall, here on the Mike Wagner Show, now in Nashville, Tennessee. He's been in Woodstock for a while. And we covered just an amazing amount, his great music career and also how he got started and being involved in Congress, politics, and sharing common ground and everything. It's been a great time here as well. And what can we expect from you in 2021 and beyond, John?
Well, I hope more of the same, in the sense that it'll hopefully be good music and good lyrics, and I'm looking forward to it. I really should mention before we wrap up that I had the best, well, not the best, there's nobody you can say is the best, but some of the best players and singers that I know on this record. Everybody from John Cowan, who sang with Newgrass Revival and played bass with them, and more recently been singing and playing with the Doobie Brothers. And he is, started out being a bluegrass prodigy, and has done everything from that to straight out rock and roll and various kinds of soul and gospel music. Andre Zahn, who's a wonderful singer and fiddle player, and has worked with everybody from Lyle Lovett to James Taylor. And our drummer, Sean Paddock, on most of this record, plays for a couple of decades with Kenny Chesney. Sax player played on Alone Too Long and one other track on the record, Jay Collins, who has played with the Allman Brothers, with Dukes of September, with Boz Scaggs, Donald Fagen, and Mike McDonald. All these people, I'm just so blessed to have the ability to hook up and play with them and have them spring some time to work with me. And so nobody, like I said, nobody does it alone. It's all a team. And Orleans is a team. This is, for this one record, a team as well. And also, wonderful engineers it takes everybody who puts a record together, multiple studios in Woodstock, in Millbrook, New York, in Nashville. So it's been a really interesting project, and all the people who helped are part of the excitement for me, because it's not really a John Hall record. It's always a John Hall and Friends record.
Mm-hmm. And that's very amazing as well, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Oh, boy. Well, there's so many of them. I mean, I guess my father listened to a lot of classical music, so I grew up with that, which is where a lot of my harmonic and melodic sense comes from. And my parents also listened to show tunes, which they certainly build drama into songs in a way that helps really writing any kind of a song. I think the Beach Boys and the Beatles and Hendrix and Clapton and Jackson Brown, of course, and Joni Mitchell, I think, lyrically is a huge influence, and probably musically too. And harmony wise, there have always been such great harmony groups and singers, and, everything from doo-wop to Take Five, or, to the Dixie Hummingbirds, or
Yes.
So we're really Crosby, Stills and Nash. I mean, I wound up working with them on No Nukes, among other things, but all these people are contributed to the music that's come in through my ears and lodged in my brain.
That's so fascinating. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Do what you love.
And rightfully so. Yes, I think you said it perfect. Once again, John Hall, the co-founder of Orleans, with his new album, Reclaiming My Time, featuring the single Alone Too Long on the Mike Wagner Show. John, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And don't forget to keep in touch. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or listen to music, or especially check out your newest?
Thank you so much, Mike. It's johnhallmusic.com, at johnhallband, johnhallmusic on Facebook. It's Instagram and Twitter and all the other socials. You can find me as well. And Orleans is orleansonline.com. So between those various platforms, I think you can find more than you want to know.
We certainly would do so. Once again, John, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely amazing. Looking forward to having you soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021. Mike. And don't forget to keep in touch. And don't forget, you're still the one, because you've been absolutely terrific.
Thanks, Mike. Have a great day now.
Hey, everybody. My name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. You know, it talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.